discuss this, I'm joined in studio now by Jackie O'Sullivan from MTN. ICASA and Vodacom were invited to join this discussion, but they have since declined. Jackie, nonetheless, though, it is a pleasure to have you join us on Newsnight.
Thanks, Faith.
Now, when we're looking at this process, I mean, it was just baffling to see how ICASA was excited about the new regulations being imposed. Just a few hours, they just withdraw that and they have certain extensions to certain regulations. Let's talk about the impact that this has had on MTN specifically.
So I think the overall regulations were extremely complex, and we've taken up about 8 months to be able to put all of this together. So the whole exercise was massively complicated. We've got a number of main core systems, we've got periphery systems, we've got the customer care systems, and then we have thousands of products that have developed over MTN's 25-year history. So every single aspect of that needed to be taken into account with these 4 categories that were primarily going to be changed through the regulations. So although we had an amendment on the 12th of February, and then at 5 o'clock last night, when the changes were due to go ahead at midnight, what ICASA essentially did was to give a little bit of leeway, recognizing the fact that the changes that they made on the 12th were potentially not going to be able to be implemented.
Why, though, Jack? I must ask, and you've tried your best to implement certain changes, and you're free to discuss this and looking at some of the discussion, but why is it that it's such a complex matter, and why is it that we couldn't meet the deadline of the 1st of March, to a point where even I believe that there was a request to have certain suspensions for the implementation date for the regulations related to opt out of notifications for depleted of voice and SMS services, etc. So, but why?
Fundamentally, every regulation that was required in the amendments was met. So data rollover, data sharing, the out of bundle, all of those key elements were met. So nothing that was required out of the amendments that were originally set weren't met. So everything was met. Basically what happened on the 12th was that there was a slight addition that was offered to the networks. Basically to say, if you as a customer are frustrated by getting all these notifications, because if you're going to get a notification if you buy an hourly bundle, a daily bundle, or a weekly bundle, or you'll get notified for every single one of those at 50%, 80%, and 100%. So basically the regulator said, if you don't want to get those notifications, you can opt out of those notifications. And they tried to make it easier for the networks to accommodate this out-of-bundle arrangement. The original arrangement basically said, you need to be cut off. Once you have depleted your bundle, you get cut off until you have told us as an operator, I am giving you permission to let me go out of bundle, or until you buy yourself another bundle. So all of those aspects were met. So the regulations have been met. It's these very minor amendments that will be built into the system later.
Has this been an expensive exercise for you?
It's been an incredibly labor-intensive exercise. So yes, from that perspective, it has been. We've had a massive team of people working on this. Fundamentally, this wasn't about making tweaks or changes. It was fundamentally redeveloping products. Yeah. So it was an exhaustive process. It came with a huge amount of risk as well when you're making such massive system changes. There's obviously great risk to that. So we had a huge team of people literally working through the nights. Very few people slept. We had a bit of a party.
But then if you're working through the night, Jackie, that means that does that mean that not enough time was given to the networks to actually make this transition over to have these new regulations imposed onto them? I mean, for people to be working through the night simply means that they had to just meet this deadline of the 1st of March. So did ICASA give you guys enough time and enough leeway to make the necessary adjustments as a network?
No, the working through the night is a requirement to make sure that you're monitoring the systems. So we started introducing changes at 10 o'clock last night. And the key thing is it's not like flicking a switch. You can't do it all at once. So you have to do it in phases. So we had a really detailed plan that would roll it out so that by the time 5 o'clock rolled around, all of the changes and all of the systems would be updated. Yeah. The work had been completed way ahead of that, but it's really just making sure that when you wake up in the morning, your network is allowing you to do what you still need to do.
Let me ask you this, and allow me to play devil's advocate for a little bit. You can now obviously switch over and transfer over cell phone data without an actual cost. cost, right? So you can now do it for free. However, Vodacom, you still have to pay. So in light of the fact that you are MTN, the competitor, does that mean that you're anticipating users to be switching now over to MTN as a result of this new option that you've made available, because you've adhered to the regulator, as you've said, and leave Vodacom because of the service that has not necessarily yet been kicked in?
Look, I think that South African consumers are extremely savvy. They really understand data, they understand products. So I think it becomes a very competitive factor. MTN has pretty much always offered this data share product, and we've never charged for it. So we think that it's appropriate, and I think that some of the other operators will be rethinking based on the reaction. I think it's interesting to see the power of the consumer. Social media has brought about such a difference.
Yeah.
But we think that you should be able to do this, and as I say, the product has been in existence for some years, and we aren't going to charge customers to share their data.
Jackie Sullivan, thanks a lot for joining us this evening on Newsnight, shedding some light in terms of those regulations as imposed by ICASA. As I mentioned, ICASA and Vodacom were invited to take part in this discussion, but they subsequently declined.